we've appointed a chairman. We need to consider whether or not we need to divide the agenda. It's going to be in public. So, any declarations of interest? No declarations of interest.
Yeah, I need to say that I know Trevor from Second Club.
Okay. The exclusion of the public and press. To consider the following resolution to exclude the public and press. No, we're not going to need to do that. And then agenda item 5, the consideration of investigation reports for the following standard complaints. ARP-467242. I'm guessing that's the one we'll do first?
Yes.
So this is a complaint against Councillor Brazil, and it's been concluded that the code of conduct has not been broken. I'm guessing, do I ask for comment now from the complainant, or?
What you need to do is consider, well, it might be, sorry, microphone. Just if I just set out what the committee's options are this morning, under our adopted procedure, if it's a finding of a no breach, it still has to be considered by this panel, and their options are to accept the investigating officer's findings or not, in which case the matter would be adjourned to a different day, so we could hold a full hearing with the investigating officer and the subject councillor here. And I mean, again, if you wanted to go and retire to look at the papers, you're entitled to do so, to come to that conclusion. If you do find that there has been no breach, that will be the end of the matter today, as I say, and we will issue a decision. We'll make a decision today, but issue a written decision within 14 days of today to all parties. I think that's probably... So it's up to the panel whether they want to go pop out and retire and have a discussion of that. And if you need me, then I will come with you.
Okay, thank you very much. I've read the papers and I'm happy in my decision, which I have made. Have you, or do you want to retire, or are you happy?
Can we just have 5 minutes to just talk about it?
Yes,
okay,
that's absolutely fine. And I would have to, another thing we need to say, that it's taken as read. The panel has had all of the papers and they have read them. It's taken as everybody involved in it has seen and read the investigating officer's report. So that's why we haven't read the whole thing out. But be reassured everybody's seen it with plenty of notice.
Thank you very much for letting us take 5 minutes to discuss. We've all agreed that with the conclusion of the report that there was no breach. But what we wanted to say is that councillors and everybody in public life need to be aware of how their body language and tone of voice can be perceived by others in meetings especially. But we're going to leave it there, I believe.
So that concludes the first issue. We need to contact our investigating officer, who will be online on Teams. So we're just doing that now. But you're free to.
So that's me. I can go.
You can go. You can sit. Sit and wait, watch the next one if you wish, or you can go.
I'm just curious to see, because this is a foregone conclusion. I knew exactly, because your decision was based solely on the investigator's report, but his report is totally flawed. But the Ombudsman is going to be taking it up, so you haven't seen the last of me.
The Ombudsman will now be able to process it. Now we've come to the end of the process,
Yeah, exactly.
that's what
they
we've been.
told
Yes,
me that.
yes,
So
yeah.
they can now swing into action.
Yes.
We're going to part B now, the following complaint, or do you have to wait for anything?
Just waiting for Simon.
Simon to join.
Yes.
Okay.
So again, Chairman, you've got I'm so sorry, you were waving, weren't you? Do you want to do that again? So the process is on page 2. Sorry, for the benefit of the streaming. So the investigating officer will explain his conclusions. And that sounds like him popping in now. I'm not aware there's any witnesses. You haven't asked for any, and neither has the investigating officer. And then if you wish any clarification from the investigating officers, we'll ask through the chairman, and we'll get those questions sorted. The panel can obviously ask questions of either you and the investigating officer. So then you have your say. You need to say what it is you want to say, and make sure you've advised the panel of everything you want them to know. As I say, the subcommittee can ask questions. The panel can ask Mr. Kirkin for his views, and then they will retire to have a discussion on their decisions, and they will decide whether or not they agree with the investigating officer's report. If not, that will be. If they don't agree with it, and they don't think there's any breach, that will be the end of the matter. If they agree with him, and that's a finding of a breach, they will then consider if any sanctions should be applied, and then which ones, and we'll go through that if appropriate at the time. I will re-explain later. But I believe we've got Simon Mansell, who's our investigating officer, online, live from Cornwall.
Hello, Simon. I'm Councillor Cooper. Welcome to a meeting.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to be introduced to everybody, or are you happy to continue?
I'm just happy to continue if you are, Mr. Chairman.
Perfect, thank you. So we're now going to consider the second complaint against Councillor Soper of East Allington Parish Council. The investigating officer has concluded that there has been a breach of the parish code of conduct, and we're going to take the hearing now. So we need to consider the investigating officer report about the complaint against the councillor. So obviously we've all read the report. Yep. And I'm going to ask Simon now to just explain his report and his conclusions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. With regards to the investigation, it was slightly hampered by the fact that Councillor Soper didn't engage during the investigation process, and the conclusions that were reached within it with regards to parts 2 and 4 of the complaint, where a breach was found, were made on the balance of probabilities on the facts that were presented to me at the time. I have since read the submission that was made by Councillor Soper, and I have been through that. And I will say to the panel that I don't believe that it would have changed my conclusions within the report. And the reasons for this are that whilst I note the concern that Councillor Soper has raised with regards to the complainant in this matter, it's not a case that him or the parish council have the ability to act as they did. That there is a set process, as the members know. If there is concerns about the conduct of a member, that has to be followed, and the parish council has no powers to intervene in this. It has to be something that has to be referred through the monitoring officer and then through the process that's been set in place by the principal authority. By acting as he did, and I understand the concerns that Councillor Soper has raised, he stepped outside of this process. Therefore, I'm still of the view that the findings that were reached at the investigation would have been ones that I would have made had Councillor Soper made his submissions to me at the time. And I do still consider that an apology for the actions and for stepping outside of the due process would have gone a long way to resolve matters. I'm very happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you very much. Do you require any clarifications, Councillor Soper?
I will apologise now for not responding to any paperwork that I had sent to me. I agree that was bad. I am not very good with computers and think I like to talk to people. I like to face. The reason I read the statement, which did not name anyone, was that I had a council that was falling apart. I had one councillor ringing me up asking that he could he hand his resignation in, which I wouldn't accept because I didn't want him to leave. I had another one I later found out that was considering the same option, and the meeting that was called by a parish councillor unknown that the meeting was going to take place was not me that called the meeting as I had been accused. At that meeting, 2 councillors reacted that I've never seen councillors react before because of the actions of the complainant. I had another meeting that one of the councillors stormed out, and that councillor had never shown any.
Sorry, Councillor Soper, I'm just going to stop you there. I'm asking for clarification, not a retelling of what we already know. So was there any clarification you wanted from the report?
All I want to say then is, what was I to do when I had a council that was going to fall apart and would have been left with the chairman and the complainant, other than make a statement which did not name anyone? And it was so, in fact, I'm probably going to step out of line again. The action of free speech then is not allowed. That's all I've done. You've all had a copy of the statement I read out. No one in that room knew I was going to read it out. It was what I felt the only way I could try to calm the feeling of the council down was to make a statement, and hence the statement was read. I offered it to the councillors there to accept it and put it in the minutes. The remainder of the councillors there proposed it and seconded it. And that was the end of it, as I thought. But then I had this complaint against me. So if saying what I did has made me step out of line, then I've stepped out of line. But I don't consider that my actions have gone this far.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Councillor Soper. Just going to see if Councillor Carson or Councillor Yardy want any clarifications on any points.
I would be happy to hear the views from Mr. Kirkham, please.
Sorry, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very useful to hear Simon Mansell speaking. We haven't met before, but thanks for your summary. And also to hear from one side of the story. It's a shame that we can't hear from both today. It seems to me, from having read all the paperwork before and refreshed myself this morning, that there's been, aside from the procedural stepping out of line that we've just heard about, there's been a massive communication breakdown. That's a statement of the obvious, between the complainant and the subject member, which is really unfortunate. It's been exacerbated by maybe the lack of IT skills on the part of one of the two people concerned, which is just the way things are. And it therefore seems to me that although the code has been broken, there is one, and I know we're not supposed to talk about remedies just yet, but there is one obvious remedy as far as I can see. And do you want me to elaborate on that at this point or not?
I would advise the panel to ask you at that point if that's the decision they make. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine. Thank you.
So yes, it's a communication breakdown, which I would have thought could be remedied fairly simply. And the passage of time, the lack of response from the subject member is very unfortunate, which explains the passage of time. And to me, it's a communication breakdown that really shouldn't have happened. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anything else, Councillor Yardy?
No, not at this time.
Councillor Carson? I don't need any clarifications or any points, do you?
No.
No. No, I think I need to.
Yes,
so
you can. This is the right time to ask for any further questions of Mr. Mansell. If you want anything clarifying, we need to ensure that Councillor Soper said what he needs to say before you retire, and ask everybody to ask any questions at this time, basically, so they've got everything in front of them.
So we just asked Councillor Soper to ask questions of clarification. Prior to that, though, he was explaining some context. So I would like to hear the context, please.
Councillor Soper? Sorry, Councillor Soper. We're going to ask you to explain the context, and so this is a time where you can freely speak in terms of not asking for clarification, just your experience of the meeting and what went on. Don't forget to press your button.
As I said in my report, that the complainant is lost the word, would be useful to the parish council. The councillor is very intelligent, very articulate, and an asset, but it's her, sorry, I shouldn't have said it's her manner that gets to people. She always seems to be nitpicking, and it's just the way. And she came into the parish council having, as you read, that she'd only been to 3 meetings that I know of, having lived in the village for a long time. came straight in, and on the first meeting she started in an aggressive, in my opinion, an aggressive manner. It upset councillors to the what I've said, that I don't know what I don't know what I could have done. She don't like me, obviously, because she's complained about me. I speak to her at a meeting and ask her opinion or whatever, but she doesn't talk to me at the meeting. I could say a lot, but I won't say it because it's wrong. But my opinion is not good of her attitude, and we all have disagreements. We all have different ideas, but it's the way you talk to people, the way you overcome the problem. It's a very difficult councillor, having only just joined the council at the last parish council elections, whereas a lot of the councillors have been there a long time. I can go back a long way, and I've been the chairman for many years, not always through choice, through because nobody else will do it. And I speak my mind, and obviously I don't believe I stepped out of line, because my statement I read out didn't name anybody, and how I look at it is, if the cap fits, it obviously did to the councillor that involved, the complainant, and it went further. And they haven't learned from what I said, and if anybody should be sat here, in my opinion, she should be, for how she's treated our council. But that's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Soper. Any other questions for the subject, Councillor? No?
And does Mr. Mansell want to add anything further before we move on to the members discuss the matter? You're not obliged to.
No,
I'm just making sure that everybody said what they need to say.
No, I think that, as I've said to the panel, I appreciate the concerns that have been raised by Councillor Soper, but it was something that, in my view, was done the wrong way.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you for your time. Good. I see no witnesses.
Chairman, could I propose a timeout so that we can discuss this privately?
Absolutely. Can we take 5 minutes? Maybe
Take as
longer?
long as you
Okay,
as you
take
need,
as long as you need. Okay.
Chairman. Yes. Do you require me to come with you?
Yes, please.
Yes. Just to explain that I will go out with the panel. I'm not part of the decision-making process at all, so it's surely for the panel to make the final decision. But I will give them any legal advice should they require it on options and what our constitution says.
Hi, Simon, are you there?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much for allowing us some time. We're just going to go out and read why we've made a decision we've made. Starting off, we agree with finding of facts as set out by Simon and the investigating team. We believe the council has broken the code of terms in terms of language and also the timeline as set out by Mr. Mansell. We all agree your language was inappropriate, and it's a shame you didn't engage with the process in a timely manner. I think that might have helped. We also believe that although your apology for the lack of engagement is welcome, it's a shame you haven't apologised for the language you've used. We go on to recommend that the full parish council attend training in governance, leadership, the role of members, and also an IT training, as we believe a total lack of communication has taken place. We also ask for the parish council's code of conduct to be updated, just so it's more in line with other parish councils and town councils in the South Hams and around the country. That's our decision. Going to ask for a bit of guidance now.
Yes, so that's what the panel discussed as we could do with sanctions, and the chairman will now invite the parties present for any representations on those before he gives a final decision on those sanctions. If you have any comments or views on those.
First of all, Mr. Mansell.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your time considering the report.
Thank you. Any further comments? I know you wanted to say.
Could I just ask you to run through your decisions again very briefly?
Yeah, no worries.
Please.
So we agree with the finding of facts. We agree the code of conduct has been broken in terms of language and time frame. The language was inappropriate. We then recommend that the full parish council, so all councillors, attend training because we believe there's been a massive breakdown in communication. The training in governance, leadership, role of members and IT training, very similar to the training we received here when we first became councillors. And we also have asked for the code of conduct to be updated to be, it's slightly short and outdated, we believe.
Thank you for that. Can I comment on the remedy? I was expecting to see informal resolution feature. Is that part of the training that you foresee?
Okay, we did discuss it. We just don't believe both parties would agree. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to include that. But from the communication point of view, perhaps afterwards, after the training, it could be something they could consider.
All right, thank you.
Can I say something, please? You refer to the language. Could you explain what language I've used wrong, please?
The main bit we had concerns about was when you pointed your finger and said, "Now listen here, young lady."
I can't remember that. I can't honestly remember doing that. I probably did, but I can't remember doing it.
That's
Right.
fair enough.
Fair enough. We all forget what we say and stuff. Okay, so
Thank you.
anything else? Okay, in terms of that, I think we're happy. Oh,
I probably admit that I didn't go about it the right way. I did it because that's how I feel our parish council should be run. If we are to have training or whatever, I think that whoever does the training and actually spells out that how a council should work. You're all district councillors. If you want, we all have different opinions, we all have different ideas, but you don't actually pick on someone and criticise them in public, do you? If you do, well, you should be where I'm sat. I don't criticise people in public. I don't criticise people at all. I've been accused of being too easy. But this got to me, and it got, that's what I did. I go back to my statement that was my thoughts, no one else's. And if the cap fitted, wear it. And obviously it struck a chord with her because that's why she complained about it, but she hasn't learned. And I think whoever does a training needs to be straight to the point, no pussyfooting around, just straight. This is how a council should work. And that's just how if I had to come into a council that was disruptive, that's how I would, no messing about, no, just straight language. And it's not acceptable. And it's not acceptable for someone to upset a council. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback. I believe Councillor Yardy would like to say something.
I simply recognise that leadership is actually very difficult, and it is not easy to be correct all the time. And therefore, the training that we're asking the whole council to undertake is so that that the leadership and the role of each member should be clearly understood, and your wish that it be clear and to the point about what behaviour is allowed and what is not. I agree with you on that point. So the training is really important, and it would be great if the majority of the council would take that up.
Sorry, I did say I wouldn't say any more, but one of the councillors that isn't a councillor now, to report in the thing, said that the complainant should read the Nolan principles. And that to me meant that she's stepped out of line as well. And if whoever comes to do the training is strong enough, because she is quite a strong person, as to dictate to us that that's what is accepted and what is not accepted. And if we know that, you see, we do our parish council job for the parish, and we don't go into meetings to gain points. And this is what's happened. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, so we agree the Nolan principles are important, and that's why we've asked you to update, or we've asked our council to ask the parish council to update its code of conduct to better fit in with that. I'd just like to thank everyone for their time today. Is there anything else I need to do in terms of summing up?
No, Chairman, we have a note of that. Just to say that we will be doing a written summary decision notice, which will go to everybody, the clerk, to yourself, to the complainant, Mr. Kirkin, and the panel. So everybody will get a copy of that, and it will be agreed with the chairman. And then that will be reported back to our main Audit and Governance Committee. But other than that, we are concluded, Chairman.
Thank you everyone for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.